What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down what moved it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi did close 0.72% in the green. So pretty good day all in all. 1085 the low, 1150 the high. So you did have a lot of volatility, but a couple of things did come out that somewhat caused a lot of volatility. So job numbers, so job openings, 7.7 million was the actual, 7.5 the forecast. So that was a little bit better than anticipated. So of course, if you take that for face value, that's kind of a good thing. Job quits was similarly a little bit higher than the forecast, which isn't all that great, but still 3.26 versus 3.21 million was the forecast for that. Market seemed to really move kind of past this fairly easily, and that's because there was a hell of a lot of other things moving the market. So starting off yesterday, we did have Doug Ford, who did impose a 25% levy on any electricity that the states was going to buy from Ontario, so the province of Ontario. And I think in general, every logical investor knew that Trump was going to retaliate. So this did come out. Very, very bold statement, but in the end it did work. So it is kind of funny that he did state that they will pay a financial price for this so big that it will be read about in history books for many years to come. That is very strong words, but again, it did work. So you did have Ford kind of retract his statement. Market loved that. In addition to that, though, you have pretty much peace almost in Ukraine, like inches away, and it's going to be ultimately if Russia just gives the rubber stamp to it. But for the most part, I think it is estimated that within the next 48 hours, there's going to be peace in Ukraine. So by the close of business day, you had the market somewhat very optimistic. So a lot of the fears that have been plaguing it are kind of off the table. One big one is going to be coming tomorrow, and that is CPI. So that's going to be right bright and early, 7:30. So again, if this does come in a lot better than anticipated, then you could see a very nice push higher as a byproduct of that. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. At the end of the day as well, you didn't see that massive of a sell-off during power hour, which in the previous cases, whenever CPIs come out, you've always seen a massive pullback as people obviously are fearful about maybe negative CPI. But yeah, the market, like I said, had a lot of good check marks today. So despite a lot of the volatility, I think it closed fairly optimistic. No news today, no SEC filings, nothing along those lines. Shorts did return 1.05 million shares. 12.26% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 132.08 million shares. So it's good to see finally shorts returning this amount. It's been a very long time. They haven't really done overly that much, and when they have increased, which is kind of more common what they've been doing lately, it's always been like 500,000, 600,000. Very rarely has it broken the 1 million mark lately. So good to see. And so I think by shorts returning today, that does also reconfirm that the market is ready to kind of move higher. But again, based on future data points, CPI, PPI in the next couple of trading days, cost to borrow minimum is back at it at being negative. So that is once again nice and fun. And on a comical kind of thing, I guess if you want to take this as a positive, Cathie did sell quite a lot yesterday. So when the whole market was selling off and everything, she decided to buy some stocks, but sold roughly around 5 million shares of SoFi through many of her obviously tickers. So kind of comical, but then again, some people absolutely love her. I think she is equivalent on the same, probably not the same level, but Jim Cramer type of scenario that if she sells, that's relatively bullish. So she typically sells everything right before it's ready to move higher, even SoFi itself. So again, for face value, I think that's relatively bullish. Some people might not like it, but again, it is what it is. Moving over to options, you did have a lot of money getting in today. So 13 million in calls, 12 million in puts. 41% of all the options today were bearish, but you had a lot of these big ones, big candles right here, clearly big institutions. A lot of those were bullish. So For instance, right here, you had 1.4 million between 940 and 945, and it looks as though one big one, so roughly 941,000 of that, was buying a $14 call for July 18th, 2025. So a lot of bullish ones. So yeah, let me know your general thoughts on that. When it comes down to the options that were done today, there seems to be a consensus for it to be above roughly 1250 for this week. So a good recovery. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub, looks like around 10 to 1050. This one stands out as well. So there was a pocket of roughly 3,000 purchased today for around that 850. That would be insane if SoFi was to get around that 850 this week. And I think for that to happen, probably all the rest of the data points coming out would have to be negative, probably even a negative rating as well. I don't see 850 even being possible, but then again, what do I know? But these are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. So a fair amount of buying. So it's kind of good to see overall. With it right now at 11.26, it did close right below this S3. So $11.31 is going to be a key point to really get over tomorrow early on. And then flip side, you had $7.62 going to be the next strong support. When it comes down to on the actual chart, there was no new analyst ratings today, nothing like that. But the low for today was 1085, so it bounced off of this 200-day moving average. When SoFi was starting to break down this 100-day moving average, that red line right there, that was the saving grace. This time around, it looks as though that 200-day moving average is kind of that next strong support level for SoFi, so just watch for that going forward. And even on the actual chart itself, so it is below pretty much all the key pivotal moving averages that I like to look at, with the exception of the 200, but it is rather oversold. You can tell that based on the stochastic RSI. So a good piece of news, let's say specific to SoFi, or even just on a macro standpoint, so CPI coming out tomorrow, that could be enough to really prompt a lot of good buying with SoFi. So as of right now, if you believe in SoFi, just honestly, it's really hard to catch the exact bottom on when that might occur. You can kind of look at a lot of the data points and come to your own conclusion, but for the most part, I think SoFi is one of the stocks that you need to just dollar cost average. That's, again, if you believe in it bigger picture. And one way to do that is obviously you can incorporate an options strategy, so you can always sell puts or do kind of a multi-leg type of transaction. So take the time, research options. I really recommend that. But with all that said, I appreciate all of you watching. Give yourself a shout out in the comments below if you've been buying, if you've been selling, or whatever else. In my opinion, I think CPI is going to come in better than anticipated tomorrow, and we will see a nice push higher to potentially that, let's say, around that 1250 range, or even if it is phenomenal, then you'll see 1272. But I can't see it being above that just yet. And probably reverse psychology by me saying that means it might be above that. Who knows? So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. One final thing, if you're looking for buy signals on stocks, options, or crypto, pop over to my Patreon and get buy signals on all of that. And many of them have been absolutely on point. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.